I'm impressed. You guys already know. All right. If you could go to our school website to start, and I appreciate Andy's introduction. I hope I do all right here. It's been a year since I've done this, but if we could go to the school website, and if you go up to menu, we take a look at menu. We have the Schoology icon is actually right on our menu. You can go ahead and click on that because we do have single sign-on set up for you and ready to go. So it'll probably give you a prompt to log in when you click on your S. For me, I'm already signed in, so I'm going to get right on the face page. So if everybody could start by going to the school website. And then up in the upper right-hand corner, I'll come back to it. So you got it. Nope, you're good. So when you're on the school website, menu is where you will find it. So if you go to the 3 lines of menu, you'll see the icon for Schoology. It's a little S.
Ho, ho, ho.
Okay, while people are logging in, those of you that are using Schoology, what can you share with other people? Why do you use it over Google Classroom? Any thoughts? Any of you using it actively? Yes? Eric, I know you are. Why do you choose this over a Google Classroom?
Well, I wanted to learn how to use it just for my own reasoning, I guess, just so I know I could. But I'm just doing it for the first year this year. I like that I can build a page how I want it to look, files, videos, whatever it might be, help questions, that kind of thing. And I like that it's all going to be saved, and then next year I can pull it over for the next class.
What has been your favorite thing to use so far?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yes, for you, Andy?
I'm just laying the foundation, so I'm not into
Okay.
Sync button. The sync button that syncs to PowerSchool. That's my favorite thing. No more double entry grading where I would grade on Google Classroom and then also have to then manually enter those grades into my PowerSchool. So now it's all housed in one, and I click a button, and it syncs all my grades to Schoology. And I think, Andy, you used the quiz?
Yeah, the quiz feature I used in geography 2 weeks ago, and that grade automatically went into PowerSchool, so that was pretty slick. My favorite thing right now is if you use HTML embeddable 2.0 tools, something like Canva. I'm using Flipgrid right now. Anybody familiar with that? Embed that right into a page, and students just have one stop. They go into their Schoology page, they can do their recordings on there. So it's pretty slick.
Okay, is everybody in? And you, Laura, you had something.
I've been using Schoology for a couple years, and I would say that being able to grade inside Schoology is a perk, making your own rubrics and then just clicking on the rubric. And all of my videotaping for my kiddos happens inside Schoology, so if you ever have them record a video to answer questions. And also the mastery, I make little report cards for the kids at Recorder with mastery stuff.
Very cool. So there's a lot of people to go to if you have questions. Anyone else using Schoology that?
Well, I have in the past. I don't right now. I'm trying to get mine together.
Mm-hmm.
But I still communicate with my teachers from Texas, so we can share. It's like a bigger PLC community because I still use my old coworkers for tests and stuff like that.
Very cool. Very cool. So we have several people within the staff that use it. So that way I'm trying to find the people that can be resources for you so you're not frustrated looking for someone to help you if you need some help. So there's a few people, Laura being Andy, Eric, that are already using it and using it, sounds like quite well. So did everyone get logged in okay? Yes? Okay. All right. So today is really just an overview because Schoology is pretty big. It's a pretty big software program. It's got a lot of interactive features. So for those of you that are already in it, using it, grading, doing all kinds of different things, this is going to be probably a pretty basic. You're going to be like, okay, so if you can jump in and help other people out, that would be great. But we're going to start just across the top, and we're just going to go through the blue ribbon. Okay? So if you go ahead and click on the blue ribbon, you'll see your courses. Your courses have already been synced from PowerSchool, including any like weird study skills or anything that you have, anything that's assigned to you will be already synced in there. Okay? The next feature when we go across the right is groups. Okay? So I'm going to walk you through a little bit with groups. Let's go through here. So you will get a copy of this presentation too later. So if you're like, oh my gosh, after I get through that whole ribbon and want to review, you can definitely review. So you can select groups to access various groups. You can create groups. Laura, have you used groups at all? Okay. And what have you used groups for?
At my last school, I used groups to manage like Spanish club and forensics, and each one of those has their own group. All of the teachers were on Schoology there, so all of the students were on it, so it was like their one-stop shop then for their extracurriculars and their classes. It all showed up together.
That's what's really nice about groups. We used groups at a school in Minnesota actually to warehouse their curriculum. So at the elementary level, we uploaded their learning objectives and we tied them to the different things that they were teaching. They were able to do some analytics with it, and they were able to curriculum map using this. It isn't a perfect tool for curriculum mapping, but it worked for them. So when we get into groups, you'll see on the left-hand side you have updates, discussions, albums, members, and resources. I want you to go ahead, click into groups. And I want you to start clicking around. You can't break this. So go ahead, click on updates, click on discussions, click on albums, point out other things that you see to colleagues. Oh, yep, I'm sorry. Yep, I'm ahead of myself. Go ahead and click around, but I'm going to get you out of here just a second. Yep.
You're going to join our group. Oh, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So in order to join a group, you can use our access code down below.
Any other shared staff?
Okay, that's
Do you have your middle school and school on?
So how do I take that access code?
Oh, but we have to join
It
group.
says create group. Do we click on that?
Join group.
Okay, yes. S5KG. Do I have to have dash? No. It's on the social media.
Are we doing join,
S5
right, not create?
KG.
DK S5 KG XM 9 and yeah 9 NB and yep. It's on the board there too.
Okay, if you click on my groups, you can join a group. So if you click on my groups, you can go ahead and join a group. So then you click on join groups, and then you can click on our access code, which I'll put up again in just a second.
No, the dash is still not on.
So H8, DK, S5, KG, XM, 9, and V.
How come they all have people and I don't have a people icon? Like they all have people and then I don't have it. Oh, is that what that means? Is that a friend thing? Oh, okay.
Probably a picture of her profile.
Oh, so you need your red glasses? Okay, then that's
Once you're in our group, go ahead, post a chat, play around, click on the left-hand side, go through each one of those names in just a second. Go ahead and play.
How come you see people posting? I don't know. That's Michelle's last name. Oh, I joined my other one. I'm joining again. That's my old name.
Oh.
I do. No,
Mine.
we won a contest. That's why they're going to count. Okay, so you are. So
So how come your discussion? Did you have this? This is
I'll take it
easy.
out here. I'll leave the group of my there.
Oh, did you add to that one?
Okay, did everybody get in? It seems like most people got into the group, okay? So if you take a look, you can see you can post just like you posted a discussion board like in Google. You can do discussions, albums, you can add pictures. So if you can play around, click on that left-hand side. You can add a discussion. This is easy. I see Ann Burns created a discussion, and you can build off of that. In albums, if you are using this for some kind of group, such as maybe yearbook or something, they can be posting pictures. You can add media to that. So go ahead and click around for a few more minutes, and then we're going to come back and we're going to show you how to add members to your group, and then create your own group.
You know, if it's you, then you, because that's the, have a conversation, you wouldn't have a conversation. I mean, you could, but not.
Have you seen my room?
I walk around kind of like, everybody else in the room.
So if you are already kind of bored and already put into the discussion, you can, when you own a group, you will be able to play around and edit pictures from the upper, just by clicking and hovering over it. Just you won't be able to because this is my group, but in the future here, so you can see, because I know you're looking at some of yours going, hey, why don't I have pictures? So when we look at members, let's all take a look at members. You won't see this yet. You will see it in your own group. We can add members. We can also make members admin. So when I created this group, I was able to make Andy and Andy admins of this group. So you guys are not now in there. No, that's okay.
We just clicked on members.
So if you could go back and click on groups in that top ribbon, I'm going to have you create your own group, okay? You can create a PLC group or you can create whatever you'd like. So if we go into My Groups, again on the upper right, we can go ahead and create a group. So feel free to create your own group or maybe talk amongst your team. Okay? You can put a name and description in for your group. Okay? The neat thing about groups, oops. Michelle talked a little bit about this with her Texas group. You can add in resources and share. So once you've created your group, go ahead and go to members. And go ahead and you can click around, go to add members. If it's going to be a PLC group, you may want to make them admin so that they can also edit and change things and add people to the group. And those people will be able to.
I can't make them admin until they accept though, correct?
Correct.
Like if they have screen.
Yourself if you're a part of whatever group, you know.
Okay, we can't PLC with the middle school through this unless we join them somehow because it doesn't give us the options for those teachers.
Let me show you that in just a second. Great question. So let me answer one question, then I'm going to get to the next question. So to join somebody's group, you're going to go up to this upper hand, the bell on the upper right. You're going to see a little notification, kind of like you would on your cell phone. It's yellow. If you click on that, you will be able to see under requests. So you click over, there's notifications, which just kind of gives you some information. Then there's requests. Click on requests, and people will have invited you to join their group.
You just.
I got it. Thank you.
So if you go to this toggle, did you find it?
Yeah.
All right, good deal. I must have known. So for those of you that maybe don't know what they're asking to connect with their middle school colleagues. If you go to this toggle right here where it says Lancaster High School, you can connect with middle school or Winskill, or you can search the whole district if you're really inclined.
So now we're going to have 5 PLC science groups.
Leslie, where are you?
So is this the same place you have class groups?
No.
Okay.
So how do I know if I was invited there?
I just didn't know you were. You didn't create one.
So here's what okay, I'm going to bring us back. It sounds like we're kind of all done with this. Okay, once you have your group, if you want to edit picture, that you can edit the picture of your group again by hovering over. If you are an admin to that group, you can go ahead and click on that, and you can choose a different image, or you can attach a file so you can make it personalized. And this is so you can keep track of groups. One of the really good questions that was asked is this where your classes are at? No, this is separate. This is groups. So groups is where like you would house your PLC group. This is where you would do like clubs, activities. You could create a group with your students, but you wouldn't necessarily do that. I don't know of any teachers that do, but maybe somebody here does create groups. Create groups for the classes.
Oh.
For the classes.
I don't know that there'd be a reason to.
No.
So I'm making a jazz band group. Would that be inappropriate? I'm making a jazz band group. Would that be inappropriate?
That would be appropriate. Unless you have it as a class, then you wouldn't necessarily do so. This would be more extracurriculars because your students will be in your classes.
You can.
Okay.
Wes?
I created a group. Should have an invite.
I don't know, I went to the images book.
Okay, a couple more things on groups. Resources, if you click on resources, you will see that you can add resources here. This is where you could create some things or bring some things over to share with your teammates, and we will get to that in another training because that's this whole ribbon, and we've got quite a bit to do yet up here. But you will be able to share things with your colleagues or share things within your group. If you go up here to the toggle, right under group options, you can send messages, you can edit this. from there, and you can moderate the post if you're the admin. So that's very important to know, especially if you're doing this with students. And then there is the recycle bin if you want to trash this group or are done with it. Or if you want to leave a group because you no longer are needing to be a part of it, if you look at the very bottom, you can leave the group. So kind of click around there for a few seconds. How you trash it? That's for the house. Recycle bin. Yep. Okay, if we could go back and click on groups one more time, this might be more interesting to some of you, especially if you don't feel like maybe you would use a lot of Schoology in your classroom. If you go to groups and you go to my groups, you see the option for my groups, school groups, and public groups. You can reach out and make a greater PLC for yourself. We can create a school-wide group, but you can also look at these public groups. So like for my department, I would look at different things with special education or differentiated instruction, and I can reach out to those groups and get resources from them. So if you go to my groups and then go to public groups, play around and see if there's some different groups that you'd like to be a part of. So if you click on groups and then over on the right on my groups, then you can find mine. And you just click on to join. So like if I wanted to join on this differentiated instruction group, I would go ahead and click on that.
Can you search that easily?
Yeah, how do you search for groups?
So when you click back on my groups, you should be able to see it.
Find groups is right here on the
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Mine didn't done this one, so let me see if I can find
Public
one.
groups, but then.
But they're like searching science or searching,
Yeah, that's right.
do you go up here to the search up here at the top?
Are they asking to search these groups?
Yeah.
Search them?
Yep.
No, it
There
only,
used to be a search bar at the top.
there's one up there, but it just does the Lancaster ones. Ow!
You used to be able to get it. So I clicked on your little Batman head. Now what?
I think that just makes it like, hey,
Yeah.
it might be a real icon.
Okay, Wes, there's your head. So.
I'm gonna capitalize.
Okay, I'm going to bring you back. You can play with groups a little bit. When you have some time, you can find some different resources there. Click around in there. It's changed a little bit since I've been in here last. If you take a look now, if we keep going across the blue band, we're going to go across to resources. Okay, so if you go ahead and click on resources, you'll see personal resources, and then you'll see under my resources, if you open this toggle, it'll say home, learning objectives, downloads, and public. We'll come back to that in just a second, but I want to jump to where it says home here and where you have add resources. This is where you can create content, and this is like, for lack of a better word, kind of like your Google Drive of Schoology. This is where you create the content in Schoology and store it to pull for later use. Now, if you are working in a group, you may want to create your content within that group if you're sharing that with the group. Let's say you're sharing tests and quizzes, so rather than creating that in your personal folder, it may be easier for you to just do it right away in the group folder. And this part, this add resources part, we are going to go through at another time. Just because there's a lot more to it. That's where we add the tests, the quizzes, that's where we sync the grade book and get everything going in that direction. Anything any of the Andes want to add?
That's
Alright.
where the search for public groups is now. If you go to public, and then the search
Okay.
bar right there.
That's
That
the
we were
resources.
looking for earlier.
Yep. So this is actually, so if you go down one more to public resources, this is actual resources. This is actual lessons. You can search them by subject, resource type, level, whatever. So if you go down to public, you can steal these resources from other educators. I would suggest you test them first, though, because I have had it where the different resources maybe didn't work. So just making sure that you don't like plan on it for your whole lesson and then all of a sudden have not tried it. But go ahead and take a look at public resources and see if you can find some things that might be useful to you.
There's a CER rubric on here already made.
And this is private access only. I'm out of luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So for example, for me, this would pertain to maybe me. I clicked on these lesson plans for differentiated instruction. I have this occupational mathematics. I can download this file. I don't know what this looks like, so we'll see. So in this case, it's just your lesson plan. Yes. Tina, did you ask some questions? Oh, it was you, Ken?
Playing around in public, is there a way to click like favorites and type things so we can come back to something?
Well, what I would do is I would suggest that you click on add them. So like you would add them. You can either add them to a course, or you can download them, or you can add them. You can move them to
Create
home.
like a favorite course and
Yeah.
add them to that course to come back to that course.
okay.
Without posting it public to your students.
So, for example, let's say I chose this grammar lesson that's right at the top. I click on this ad. This is going to give me the option to drop it. Okay, there we go. So, I'm clicking on electrifying. I can add it right away to a course, or I can organize it. If I organize it in home, I'll move it there. And when I go back to my personal drive, I can see the electrifying. Does that make sense?
But I
Pam?
kinda wanted to like set it with that.
After you added it, you don't want it now because you're playing around with it.
So then if you don't want it, if you're playing around, on the right-hand side where there's the gear, you can delete it.
Oh,
Oh, I see it now.
Wow.
I don't know what I did. When you think I went to public.
we're gonna show me.
PowerPoint.
Oh, wow.
I don't have anything in my belt. Nothing else in my belt now.
I don't really want it, I really don't want it now. I just want to, yeah, I'm just hoping to get ready.
You gotta read the words.
I don't know what I do. I could be in trouble. So then I went to this and then went to survival.
2 hours.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I don't know what that is, and I know what it's wild animals. So, we assigned an animal, summary,
So like I said, I was adding to it.
Yeah, but then we'll get back to that.
That's the idea. Which I've already memorized.
You already know it.
If I were to put it on hold.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That's very helpful. Kudo Queen is one of the it's like scheduling thoughts. The graph is really fast, major sweat, people, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So like this year when I do
And now like what about
trying to use
when I come here like find coworkers like I get
And I think it's been fairly recent because you used to be able to do it. Because like I just yeah. That's what yeah. Yeah. It used to be there when I trained before, so it's like yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring everybody back. So I want to just make one comparison for you and maybe just kind of differentiate between the two. So with groups, and you go into my groups, you do get the opportunity to be a part of a public group. This is different from resources. So the public groups are only one page. And I was just talking with Michelle, they used to let you search this stuff and do some different things, but as of like very recently, it must be Schoology that has done away with it. They don't really call me up or tell me that, but they must have done away with that. Resources is different. You do have the opportunity when you look at the different public resources to search them, and when you add them, it'll often give you the option. Some don't give you the option to either add it to a course right away or to put it in your home, which is putting it basically in your Google Drive, your Schoology Drive, for lack of a better word. It's called personal. Okay?
If it doesn't give you that lesson, you click on that, like grammar lessons, like click on the blue grammar. Oh, there it goes. Sometimes it just takes a few minutes
Yeah, because mine wasn't doing it right away.
to do that. Otherwise, clicking on grammar lessons, you can do it from there.
So if I wanted to create things, I could also create things within my group. So like with my Schoology Training group, I could add resources to my group as well. So when you click down on groups down below, you can add the different resources there. And if you scroll down, or if you come down one more piece on the left-hand side, you have your apps. So if we're on the left-hand side of resources, very far left, you have personal, public, groups, and then apps.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to bring you back. So if you can go to resources for me, everybody be at resources. Click on resources. I have something important one for you. We're going to sync your Google Drive to this. Okay, so we're going to sync Google Drive to this. So if you can come back to resources. Okay. On the very far left, going down all the way to the bottom, you see apps. Please click on apps. Okay, go ahead and go to install apps, please. Okay, agree. And then you can go ahead and install the Google Drive app. as well as some others.
So do you include Vimeo in yours for the videos?
I do it right next to it.
Oh,
I don't use it now.
So if you go ahead and click on Google Drive Resource App,
So in what it says,
once you add the app, it'll come onto the left-hand side here, so you're not on the very far left. You're coming in just a little bit. You'll see it. Go ahead and click on the Google Drive, and then it'll ask you if you approve, and you'll be able to see your information.
another way to explore the Google Drive.
Everything you use
It is.
Usually at the top.
Yeah, there's really, I don't, there's not a, like a math. Yeah, I don't believe so. That hasn't changed.
How do I install Dropbox?
Okay, one of the really good questions I had just gotten about the Google Drive sync is how do I edit things, or how can I manipulate things within Schoology? If you look to this gear on the far right, kind of similar to the other gears that we have in other programs, you can edit, delete, you can import file, you can import the link, and you can make it a private link. So if you click on edit, it's going to take you into Google Drive, and it's going to take you into whatever document it's linking you to. I don't even know what I linked into, but it'll take you right into that document. But it'll take you through Google Drive.
Your resources back, add resources, like add a Google Doc, add a Google spreadsheet from Schoology, will that show up?
You'll be back. You're thinking Google Drive.
Okay.
Must be. Where do I make it private?
Okay, a couple more things across the top. And then hopefully you will have enough to get started to at least start playing with this. So there's a search. It just allows you to search within Schoology. You can type in maybe a group that you're part of or something if you're looking for a quick search. This also has the ability to take you back to PowerSchool across the top here. There's also a calendar. The only downfall of the calendar, and I haven't seen anything that has changed in this, is it doesn't sync. So you can import it and export it, but there's not like a direct sync to your Google Calendar, so your things won't be there. So one of the things we have to decide or talk about as a district is how we're going to do that, or how we're going to manage that, because we don't want some people putting their things on Schoology and some people putting them on Google, because then nobody will know where everybody's going. So that's something to talk about. Then there's also your messages across the top, and then your notifications. That's where if you're being added to a group, or if somebody sends you something, or maybe students turned into assignments, that's where you'll see your notifications. Now I'd like to get into your profile. So if you go to the far right, you'll see a toggle drop down, and you can go to your profile. once you get into your profile, one of the first things people like to do is add their picture. If you, just like you do for groups, hover over the picture, it'll give you edit picture. You can go ahead and click on that, and if you have a picture you'd like to upload at this time, or if you'd like to use something else, or if you'd like to put a cat on it, because you really want a cat, you're available with a cat one.
Is that
No, just kidding.
Search pictures from the internet.
You can search pictures from the internet.
Okay, what am I doing? So I just edit picture. Where do I search it from the internet?
So you would have to do that and probably save it to your computer itself and download it, and then you go to attach back.
See, because that's what I have up here.
Yeah.
So that picture just won't come down here.
Where do you have
Just to be honest with you,
Somewhere in the world.
So if you go into your Google settings, it's probably if you go to no problem.
Turn on safe.
No,
Don't do that. Okay, not touching that.
yeah, you don't.
so you can do your sentence, then you have a worksheet. Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, you drive. Let's see.
if it's not synced, just like it is in Google Docs, I still have a potential container.
You can just break an embedded form in like
Right there. That's what I want.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, oh, and then you have to go back to your like resources. If you go add, like, that's what you added, and then it just kind of like.
You gotta search it generally to make it work well.
picture on here.
I see it clearly, yeah. Yeah,
So we have to find the JPEG.
Okay. All right.
I'll work on it. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
I know.
I see you have bright lights in your neck of the woods.
You found it? Good.
See if I hear a left.
Okay, I'm going to just do a couple more things and then we're going to wrap up for today. We got through everything, which is great. So on profile, if you take a look, there's updates. You can post some things. You can also edit your info, your contact information. If you really want to be a blogger, you can blog. You can show Mr. Sturmer that. And then portfolio, you can add different media.
What are badges?
Badges? We'll get to badges a little bit tomorrow. Badges, or you can kind of give them out to kids. It's kind of like the Microsoft. Woohoo, you want this?
Oh, because there's some on my thing and I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at your profile, and you go to the far right, under your profile, you can write a short bio about yourself, your interest in activities, and your contact information for people who are taking your course to see.
Bio.
And then you can also add activities and interests.
Yes, you can write a short bio about yourself.
I'll throw my birthday in here.
Okay, a couple more things I want to show you just before we head out. Settings, if you scroll down to your settings, this is important for you to know because this is your privacy settings and your notifications. So again, when you're on the right hand side and you go to that toggle, you'll see settings. That is where you can change some of the different settings. Some of the things we can't change, but like my username, for example. But if you click on notifications, you can decide how you want course notifications to happen for you, such as comments on your posts and things. You can also decide your privacy settings. And this is also where I got a lot of questions. This is your recycling bin. So if you accidentally throw something away, that's where it's going to be. So let's say you found something in public resources and you push delete instead of moving to a folder, or you push recycling bin, that's where it'll end up. So you can find it again. Okay, the other is subscriptions. You can take a look at the different subscriptions that are there. And then, of course, logging out. One of the other things I'm going to show you, can you see it on this page? There's an S at the bottom. Has anybody clicked on the S yet? The S on the bottom of Schoology is your help center. So if you are ever on a page and you get lost, it's good to know that there's that help there. Okay? So there's that S. It's on the bottom of every page. You click on that, and that has a lot of different articles for help. So if you can't find Laura or you can't find Andy, Eric, or someone to help you, that's another tool to help you too. Any questions? We got through everything.
Our Google Drive, that's not public at all.
No. No. Just in your account. Just housed in your account. Okay.
But how did you find, you know how you said you had some that were in folders? Did you ever find folders, or did it just pull it all out of the folders? Did it?
Yes, that's in the Schoology Training
So we just keep coming to this all the time? And they'll teach us something new, or?
And we're going to cover that in some of that, but for sure after break. So,
You what?
This may be overwhelming, especially if you're going to try to gravitate everything over. So it's kind of like we're trying to have you especially in one class. That's why we're doing these trainings, trying to do it before second semester. So maybe you can do one class next semester, and then that way you're not like feeling like you're pulling everything over. And then next school year, you already have this class that's right up your smartboard or your
So, like Word docs and stuff like that I have?
you can upload all of that. You can put that in your personal, like, Drive place. You can put it in your different posts in your classes, and we can also upload it to Google. So we have 3 different options. Okay. Yep.
That's kind of like something I'm getting on my